In my dream, I slept with the brother of my childhood friend to whom I was betrothed since childhood. He didn't resist at all, letting me do whatever I wanted. When I woke up and saw the person on the bed, I was extremely panicked. Before he woke up, of the 36 stratagems, I only remembered that running away is the best. But a faint voice called out behind me, "Emily Brown." My family and the Wilson family have an exceptionally close relationship. My dad and Uncle Wilson were even brothers who shared weal and woe. Both used to work in the county government, with bright futures ahead. In the year when the family planning policy was enforced most strictly, to give birth to me and Michael, they were dismissed one after the other. The eldest son of the Wilson family, John Wilson, was arranged to marry into my family since he was in the womb. At that time, my brother hadn't even been conceived yet. 2 years later, my brother David Brown finally arrived. Naturally, this original arranged marriage couldn't proceed. Another 3 years later, both families finally had their second child, one after the other. The second son of the Wilson family was born 2 months before me in spring. I was born in summer, and both families named their children in the same style. He was called Michael Wilson, and I was called Emily Brown. This way, it worked out perfectly. As a newborn, I naturally became Michael's little wife. When I was just 1 month old, my father and Uncle Wilson traveled north and south together, selling sugarcane, trading fish and shrimp, and later, investing in a hotel in Shenzhen, earning a lot, and finally settling down there. The year our two families settled in Shenzhen, John was 8 years old, David was 6, and Michael and I were just 3. Our two families are separated only by a small lawn, practically negligible. Whichever family cooked first just needed to shout, and we'd go eat there. Later, to make it easier and reduce waste, we simply agreed in advance. This week at the Brown family's place, next week at the Wilson family's place, apart from sleeping at our own homes at night. Everything else was no different from one big family. When we first moved in, both mothers were still at home doing household chores. When we started elementary school, the mothers began going out to handle hotel matters. So, the eldest, John, became the leader, taking us to and from school every day. At that time, John was only 11 years old. Although young, John was very steady. We 3 played and chased each other every day, always wanting to try new games. But he would just sit quietly by the window reading and writing, rarely joining in our fun. Even Aunt Wilson often told my mom, "That child John, at such a young age, acts like an old bookworm. Who knows which girl will like him in the future? Emily, if you can get my brother to come out and hang with us, let's play. Tomorrow I'll buy you chili candy." Michael always egged me on to do things he himself didn't dare to do. I couldn't resist the temptation of chili candy, so I picked up a small stone and threw it at the windowsill. It made a crisp sound, causing John to look up out the window. I shouted to him, "John, come out and play." But he ignored me and continued burying his head in the book. Really, what's so interesting about reading all day? I wasn't willing to give up. I ran over and struggled to climb onto the windowsill. After all, I was young and not strong enough. My hands didn't hold on for more than a few seconds before I fell down. My loud crying finally forced John to put down his book and rush out. The windowsill was only this high. How could it hurt badly? It was just a trick to get John out. He pulled me up from the ground. Seeing I was unharmed, John turned back to sit by the window. Truly a bookworm. My childhood was absolutely over the moon happy. The only thing that gave Mom a headache was that David and my grades were constantly hovering near the bottom 2 or 3. Michael was even worse, firmly holding the last place, completely opposite to his brother John. So, John added another role, our tutor. David was a bit motivated. Every time John came to tutor, he listened very seriously. Michael and I were different. In the first few days, we could still sit still. But later, we found all kinds of excuses to skip class. John. My stomach hurts. I need to go to the bathroom. John. I'm feeling a bit dizzy today. I need to rest for a while. I racked my brains every day to find excuses. And Michael was too lazy to even make up his own. Just copying mine. I think my lack of enthusiasm for studying was definitely influenced by Michael. Until John entered university with terrifyingly high scores. My brother David caught up in high school. His grades steadily improved, leaving Michael and me, two struggling students, staring at each other before suddenly waking up and starting to study hard. During our junior year summer vacation, John graduated from university and came home. After resting for a while, he prepared to start working at a hotel. That holiday, John once again became Michael and my tutor. Of course, this time, John taught diligently, and we studied seriously. But one day, Michael went to a friend's birthday party, so only I was left for tutoring. That afternoon, I woke up from my nap later than usual. When John walked in, he happened to see me coming out of the bathroom in a spaghetti-strap nightgown. John. The first greeted him as usual. John was silent for a moment, turned his head away, and said awkwardly, "Go change your clothes. Well, start studying soon." I looked down at my nightgown. There was nothing wrong with it. The dress was not only a halter style but also reached down to my knees. Glancing at John's flushed cheek, it was indeed that of an old bookworm, so conservative. Although it was a bit of a struggle, I still managed to get into university. And my school wasn't far from Michael's. After both of us received our admission letters, our families threw a big celebration party. Relatives and friends crowded in, making the whole day lively and noisy. Michael and Emily. They're such a perfect match. With schools so close together. Next time we gather, it'll probably be for their wedding reception. Want it? An aunt from the Wilson family chuckled as she brought up this old topic, drawing a chorus of agreement. Seeing everyone's beaming smiles, I couldn't help but blush crimson. My gaze swept over John, who was looking at me thoughtfully, but he coolly averted his eyes when I glanced back. Stop playing matchmaker like that, they already have someone they like. Michael's words instantly silenced the roomful of laughter and chatter. Everyone exchanged confused looks before finally settling their eyes on me. I felt like I'd been caught cheating, but with so many people around, I couldn't embarrass Michael. So I just forced a weak smile and slipped unnoticed into a corner. At dusk, I sat on the small swing in the yard, gazing at the sunset clouds, when suddenly the swing was shoved hard and soared high. I grabbed the ropes tightly, glaring fiercely at Michael, who was standing nearby grinning brightly. "Michael, are you crazy? You almost scared me to death." When the swing finally stopped, I yelled at him angrily. "Oh, quit pretending like that could scare you. I've known you forever," Michael replied cheerfully, eyeing me for a moment before adding curiously, "Why are you so cranky today? On your period?" "Wait. No. That's not for a few more days." I stared at him wordlessly and muttered darkly, "If you ever falsely accuse me again, just wait till I spill all your dirty secrets." At that, Michael finally realized I was upset about what Head said earlier. He stepped forward and gripped my shoulders. "Come on. We're like family. I've taken the fall for you so many times before, now it's your turn to cover for me. What's the big deal?" I twisted away and sat back down on the swing. "You're such a player. What about that Liang Jing of yours?" We broke up. Once I start college, I'll have a few more epic romances, just you wait and see." "Who wants to see that? You peacock. Always strutting around." I scoffed at him disdainfully. "Hey, I need to prove if I've got charm or not. You're the only one who looks down on me. Everyone else thinks I'm a hot commodity. What exactly is it about me that you don't like?" Michael slapped his forehead. "Oh, wait, don't tell me you like my brother." That old stick in the mud. A surge of anger welled up in my throat as I jumped off the swing and charged toward Michael. Seeing my fierce approach, Michael hurriedly covered his head, repeatedly saying, "No, no, no. Don't hit my head, I'm really scared of you." I stood in front of Michael, staring fixedly at him. After being scrutinized for a long time, Michael finally turned his head away, cleared his throat, and said, "Don't look at me like that. It's a bit creepy." I snorted coldly, turned around, and headed back inside. Before I had taken a few steps, I heard Michael shouting behind me, "Emily, why do you blush when you see John without clothes?" I whipped around, only to see Michael darting back like a rabbit. Back in my room, sitting at the desk by the window. I couldn't help but glance up at the tightly drawn curtains across the way that was John's room. Just a few days earlier, Michael had been hiding in my room playing video games, continuing until I started to feel drowsy, before slowly getting up to leave. "Huh. Why did John forget to close the curtains today?" Michael muttered. I followed his gaze and actually saw John, who had just stepped out of the shower with only a towel wrapped around him. The phrase "looked slim-clothed but muscular undressed" instantly flashed into my mind. I frantically lunged at the window and yanked the curtains shut, then ordered Michael to leave immediately. "Get out now, I'm exhausted." My college years were uneventful yet fulfilling, but the one thing I couldn't fathom was why, in 4 years, not a single guy had met his reality hit me hard. "Am I ugly?" I asked my roommates during a late-night dorm chat in my senior year. "How could that be? You're the class beauty." One of my roommates said. That only deepened my confusion. "Then why hasn't anyone come after me?" "Don't you have a boyfriend?" Another roommate asked, surprised. "What? Are you trying to two-time?" "I have a boyfriend. How could I not know?" "Isn't the guy who often comes to school to see you your boyfriend?" "Everyone knows that." So that was it. That was it. Michael, you've completely ruined my college experience, making it feel incomplete. So, the next weekend when I saw Michael, I said to him sternly, "From now on, don't come to school to see me anymore." "Why?" Michael looked puzzled, still managing to scoop some meat from my lunchbox into his own bowl. I sighed deeply. "You're interfering with my dating life." Michael spat out his food. I disgustedly shielded my lunchbox, but a few grains of rice landed on my cheek. Michael laughed as he reached over to brush them off. "Sorry, stop. I'm embarrassed." "Who?" "Invite him out to meet. I'll help you vet him and give advice." I said helplessly. "Aren't you supposed to have passionate love affairs? Why do you come running to me every week?" "It's in progress," he replied. "But dating costs a lot of money. I'm broke, so I can only mooch off meals at your place. And you need to chip in." I really felt like hitting him. Michael's passionate affairs were draining my wallet. At the end of the month, staring at the mere $21 left in my wallet, I wanted to cry but couldn't. Under the dim light, I made a long shopping list and sent it to Michael, reminding him to eat before coming over since I could barely afford to eat myself. But over the weekend, instead of Michael, John showed up. Seeing John standing at the foot of my dorm building with a huge bag of stuff, I cursed Michael viciously in my mind. John handed me the shopping bag. "Check it to see if anything's missing. Stash it in your dorm first. Then come down for a meal." This was probably my first time dining alone with John, and it was awkward at first. But I couldn't resist the temptation of the lavish spread on the table. I wolfed down everything. Michael had exploited me ruthlessly. How long had it been since I'd eaten well? After a loud burp, I looked at the empty plates and glanced up to see John's lips curling slightly. Sheepishly, I said, "I ate it all. Want to order another dish?" "No need." John took out his wallet to pay, then casually stuffed all the cash inside into my hands. "If you need more, just tell me." Holding that thick wad of bills, I thought. as long as Michael didn't come to plunder it. This money could last me until graduation. Back in the dorm, I sorted through the items in the shopping bag. When I pulled out a few packs of sanitary pads, an image of John picking them off the shelf flashed in my mind. And my face flushed red. Emily, who was that guy who just came? Wang Huan asked curiously, leaning in. Yeah, he's so handsome and charismatic, way better looking than your boyfriend. And obviously loaded. Did he give you all this? Oh my god. He even bought sanitary pads. Zhang Yuhan exclaimed, stunned at the pile I hadn't finished organizing. He's my neighbor brother, I said casually, though my heart was racing. Neighbor brother. Does he have a girlfriend? Emily, you already have a boyfriend. So introduce this brother to us, don't let the good stuff go to outsiders. Wang Huan gushed, her eyes sparkling. Next time I see him, I'll ask for you, I replied as calmly as possible. Truth was, John, who'd been working for nearly 5 years, was mature and steady, and with his naturally cool and aloof demeanor, he was utterly captivating. Among the 4 children of the Wilson and Brown families, only John took over the family businesses, immersing himself in the hotel work day and night. This expanded the hotel's scale and opened several new branches. My brother David started his own business after graduation. After 2 years of exploration, he's now thriving. Michael studied computer software engineering. I'm not sure exactly what he learned. I doubt he even figured it out himself, because he loved gaming and thought studying this would let him play games, which is why he chose the major. As for me, I have a bit of a rebellious streak. I applied for tourism management, and when it came time to specialize, I stubbornly skipped hotel management and chose the tour guide track. So, after graduation, I became a tour guide. I didn't want to be too far from home, so I worked locally, arranging accommodations, meals, and tours for tourists visiting Shenzhen. After a few months of adjustment, I found it quite enjoyable. However, every weekend and holiday is my busiest time, and this schedule aligns perfectly with John's. Finally, on one New Year's Eve, the 2 families gathered for a reunion. At that moment, my brother was the first to marry, and he and his wife were as sweet as honey, making Aunt Jo quite envious. David moved so fast. Unlike all of you, she said. Right then, John was definitely the first to be targeted. After all, he's 2 years older than my brother and already 27 this year. John, what are you thinking? All these years, I haven't seen you date any girls. You should stop holing up in the hotel and get out more. Aunt Jo started nagging and couldn't stop. Michael and I didn't dare make a sound, afraid the heat would turn to us. But once Aunt Jo fired up, how could it end so quickly? And what about you two? What's your situation? Michael kicked my foot under the table, signaling me to take the heat. But I wasn't falling for that trick. Helplessly, Michael had to speak up. Mom, how old are we? Look, brother isn't in a hurry. You should focus on him. He hasn't even had one relationship yet. I quickly glanced at John. His usually calm and composed face showed a hint of embarrassment and a slight blush. After the reunion dinner, everyone sat around watching the Spring Festival Gala. As the midnight bell was about to chime, we headed to the yard to set off fireworks. Brilliant bursts lit up the sky, illuminating the whole yard and faces beaming with smiles. Happy New Year! I turned my head and met John's sparkling eyes, responding with a smile. Happy New Year, John. Hey, you haven't said it to me yet. Michael lit a row of fireworks and ran over laughing. Michael, Happy New Year. I may not work at the hotel, but I often bring tour groups in since I live in my family's hotel. I occasionally get to see John Wilson's presence at work. John, dressed in a sharp suit, radiates charm with every gesture. Yet his cool demeanor makes people want to approach but hesitate to get close. I've witnessed several young women mesmerized by John. Their faces flushed as they watch him walk by. The hotel celebrated its 20th anniversary with a grand gala, which was incredibly lively. By around 10 at night, the elders had left, leaving us younger folks to unwind. John was busy all evening, handling coordination and social duties, seeing the event succeed smoothly. He finally relaxed and soon slipped away quietly. I figured he must be exhausted. Holding my dizzy head, I went over to Michael Wilson and tugged his sleeve, saying, "I'm heading back. Are you coming?" Michael was deep in conversation with friends. He glanced at me, pulled a key card from his pocket, and replied, "Had too much. Just go sleep in the guest room. I'm pulling an all-nighter tonight. Room 2600 and Nini, go up yourself." The top floor was silent as I followed the room numbers. Oh, here it is, but why wasn't the door locked properly? That scatterbrain Michael. Always so careless. Entering the room, I headed straight for the large bed, feeling lightheaded. I needed to rest for a bit. In a daze, I heard the bathroom door open. And there he was, John, drying his hair as he stepped out. It was a scene I'd seen before, but now up close. John must work out. Because those pecs, that six-pack, those V-lines, I actually gulped, thinking this dream felt way too real. John stopped by the bed and finally noticed me lying there. He froze mid-motion, his brow furrowing slightly as he glanced at the door, then moved closer to the bedside and called softly, "Emily, Emily." Ugh. So noisy. I prefer the quiet, John. To shut him up, I reached out, pulled him down, and covered his mouth with mine. Sweet, with a hint of wine. That annoying towel was in the way in a dream. Why hide anything? I flung it off, and it fell to the floor instantly. I stared intently at John, gulping even harder. John propped himself up to grab the towel, but I slapped his hand away, flipped over, and pinned him beneath me. My mouth roamed over his forehead, nose, lips, chin, and that prominent Adam's apple, while my hands explored his firm muscles up and down. The feel was incredible. Parched, I struggled to open my eyes, wanting to get water. The hotel curtains blocked all light. Once drawn, the room was plunged into darkness. It was dim. I reached out to touch my phone to check the time. How did I touch a human head? I was startled and quickly turned on the bedside lamp. John. Oh my God. Wasn't it just a dream? How did it come true? I looked down and saw I was wearing a bathrobe, then glanced at the still sleeping John, who wasn't wearing a bathrobe at all. The intense visual shock nearly petrified me. In that instant, countless thoughts raced through my mind. What to do? What to do? I slept with John. How could someone so bookish handle this? If he can't take it, I might really have to die to make amends. I couldn't sort out my thoughts, but my body had its own idea. I quietly got out of bed, dressed, and while John was still asleep, decided to flee the scene of the crime first. Emily. A faint voice came from behind me, startling me as I was hunched over walking toward the door. I froze, slowly turning around. I saw John sitting up with the blanket wrapped around him. I forced a laugh and said, "John, you didn't call me that last night." John stared at me unblinkingly, not a trace of a smile on his face, clearly angry. My mind started wandering again. Last night. What did I call him? Oh, he seemed to whisper in my ear. Who am I? John. Say it again. John. John. At this memory, my face flushed with embarrassment, and I lowered my eyelids, not daring to look at him anymore. Michael always calls me reckless, and I really am reckless. What do you think we should do now? John definitely wouldn't let it go today. You. How would I know what to do? You're not going to shirk responsibility, are you? I've never even dated before, John said, displeased. Responsibility. My brain froze for a second. I pointed at the evidence on the sheets. I haven't dated either. So stop acting like you're at such a disadvantage. John loosened his grip, and the blanket slid down to his waist. Seeing the red marks on his body, I couldn't say another word. Should we tell Uncle David and Auntie He? No way. Report it to my parents. I never knew John loved tattling so much. Fine. Say what you want. I decided to throw caution to the wind. Do you like Michael? John asked. He's my buddy. Good. Then let's give it a try. Okay. Trying it out is better than reporting it to my parents. I opened the door, staring at the room number 2606. No doubt about it, drunken mistakes. I tell you. Anyway, time for a buffet breakfast. As soon as I entered the restaurant, I saw Michael waving at me. I walked over with my breakfast, and Michael started chattering away. What's wrong? Didn't sleep well. You've got dark circles under your eyes. Yeah, I definitely hadn't slept well. That shouldn't be. The top floor is the quietest. My brother's long-term suite is up there, right across from yours. 2606. Didn't you see him? Huh? Why isn't he up yet? Hurry up and eat. Then drive me home. I need to catch up on sleep. Aren't you tired? Michael looked at me suspiciously. What's up with you today? Something seems off. I stayed silent, drinking my cereal under Michael's gaze, not taking the bait, not letting him catch on. The next day, I swapped shifts with a coworker and led a 7-day tour group to Northeast China. It was my first time as a full-time tour escort, and I actually found endless joy in it. So, after resting for 2 days back home, I headed out again to Southwest China. Round trips like that took nearly half a month. I carried the local specialty souvenirs ID brought back to the neighbor's place. Michael was snacking as he said, "You've been impossible to find for the past half month. I'm really not used to it. Take me along next time you go far. Don't you have work?" I rolled my eyes at Michael. Even snacks couldn't shut him up. Oh, and my brother's been scarce lately too. I haven't seen him in ages. Right after he said that, we saw John appear at the door, looking in a foul mood, serious-faced. Not a hint of a smile. Bro. Michael stood up to greet him, then tugged at me. Come on. Let's go play some games at your place. As we passed by John's side, I murmured weakly, John. Only to see his expression darken further. Do you have to play games in my room? I was annoyed by the noise from Michael's game. Habit. You know, your setup just feels right for me. Michael replied without looking up. Frustrated, I glanced toward the opposite side and nearly jumped out of my skin. John was standing by the window, silently watching me. When he saw me look over, he gestured downward, which probably meant to come down. Too noisy. Play by yourself. I'm going for a walk. As soon as I got downstairs, I saw John standing on the lawn. I walked over slowly and softly called out again. John. John Wilson turned to look at me for a while before speaking slowly. Did you forget something? What? Do you have a boyfriend now? John said with a hint of resentment. Boyfriend? Oh. We agreed to give it a try. But how exactly do we try this? I admit, I have some inappropriate thoughts about John. But that's all they are, just thoughts. I never thought John would be interested in me. But I was still daydreaming when suddenly my left hand was grabbed. I instinctively tried to pull away, but couldn't shake it off. I awkwardly stared at my hand held by John, then anxiously glanced around, afraid the adults might see. Thankfully, at this time, they were all in their rooms preparing to rest. Pulled to the swing set. I sat down on the swing. John leaned over and looked at me. You sleep with me and then run off, leaving me hanging for so long. How could you do that? I didn't. John's breath gradually drew closer. I panicked. my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would leap out of my mouth. Impossible to suppress. A hand gripped my neck. And with nowhere to retreat, my lips were suddenly engulfed by John's. I widened my eyes, seeing John's eyelashes, longer than mine. Michael always said I was brave. But right now, I was so scared by his brother I could cry. Was he going to devour me? The last time I was groggy and nibbled on him. It was nothing like this. Now, my head felt like fireworks were exploding inside. Like the dazzling display on New Year's Eve after the brilliance. A haze of smoke lingered, and I was lost in the fog, utterly unable to find an exit. John. Emily. What are you doing? Michael's voice came from afar, snapping me partly awake. I shoved with both hands so hard that John, who had been leaning down to accommodate me, stumbled back several steps before steadying himself. I had no time to worry about it. I sprang up from the swing and rubbed my lips vigorously. By then, Michael was standing beside us, looking at John, then pulling me close to examine my face. What's wrong? Your face is so red. And your eyes are all red too. A bug flew into my eye, and John just helped blow it out. I almost applauded my own quick thinking, after saying it all in one breath. Without waiting for Michael to respond, I dashed home, back in my room. Seeing the lights on across the way, but John hadn't gone upstairs yet. I quickly pulled my curtains shut tight, sitting on the edge of the bed. I tried to calm the stampede of emotions inside, recalling that terrifying kiss from John just now. I unconsciously raised my hand to touch my lips. They still seemed to carry John's scent, sharp and crisp, with a faint hint of mint. I had taken on a 3-day senior citizen tour to a certain place, and the elderly folks were out traveling. I was in high spirits, with more energy than younger people, but I went to bed early. Around 10:30, everyone returned to their hotel rooms to rest, and I felt quite relaxed. I strolled back to my room. At that moment, the guest area was silent, with almost no one moving around. As I passed the stairwell, I faintly heard a conversation. I slowed my steps and listened carefully. John. The first like you. The voice sounded familiar. Like Yang Fong, the manager of the housekeeping department. I've had a few dealings with her. John. The John here probably only meant John. Sure enough, John's voice reached my ears. Sorry, Manager Yang. We're just colleagues. I already have a girlfriend. This kind of situation shouldn't happen again. My girlfriend would be upset if she knew. I didn't expect John to act so quickly. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure appeared right in front of me, caught eavesdropping at the door. I was right there. I awkwardly touched my nose, and before Yang Fong came out, I quickly turned and ran back to my room. After washing up and settling into bed, I finally came to my senses and asked myself why I ran. I couldn't help but complain about John. How come he has so many admirers? Knock knock. A soft knocking sound. I peered through the peephole and saw John. I hesitated for a moment. Then a message came on my phone from John. Open the door, or I'll open it myself. Humph. Threatening me. This kind of John really made me see him in a new light. As soon as I unlocked the door, John slipped in and locked it behind him. What are you doing? I looked at his actions and felt a sudden panic. John studied my face for a moment and hesitantly asked, Are you angry? Angry. Not really. But I felt a little uncomfortable inside. So I honestly shook my head and said, No. But why did John's expression darken instantly? His gaze fixed on me heavily, as if it was my fault for not being angry. How unreasonable. Watching John's face, that small discomfort inside me slowly grew, gradually turning into a burning anger. He's the one who's so charming, why blame me? I want to sleep. Get out now. I was genuinely sleepy. Tomorrow was the last day of the tour group, and I had to get up early. John didn't listen and leave. Instead, he stepped closer, pushing me all the way to the corner. "What are you doing? I'm going to complain about you." I frowned and shouted at him. That sentence actually lightened the gloom on John's face a bit. And he even chuckled softly. "Where are you going to complain about me?" "Calm. What are you complaining about me?" I looked at John's rare smile. Momentarily entranced. No wonder he was popular. Usually cold and stern. When he smiled, it was like dark clouds parting and sunshine pouring down. Complain about me what? This ball of sunshine stood right in front of me, radiating heat, making my temperature rise several degrees. I wanted to step back, but John cornered me against the wall, even whispering in my ear, pressing me. "Complain about you harassing the guests," I said with red eyes. John laughed even more heartily, his shoulders shaking, raising his hand to stroke my lips. "Hurry up. Are you looking for Mr. Wilson or Mr. Brown?" How come I never noticed before that John wasn't at all like his usual cold and rigid self, but was actually this? Wicked. Fuming, I suddenly opened my mouth and bit down. John's finger on my lips didn't have time to dodge. And I bit it hard. A muffled groan escaped his mouth. That sound made me instantly let go. My heart trembling. My face flushing so red it could drip blood. "Tomorrow you still have to accompany me to the hospital," John said with a mix of amusement and frustration. "For what?" "To get a rabies vaccine." I don't know where I got the strength, but I pulled open the door and pushed John out. Annoying. So annoying. Mom and Dad had gone back to their hometown for a wedding banquet these days. And it would probably be a while before they returned. My brother had moved out after marriage to live his newlywed life. After finishing this senior tour group, I could rest for 2 days. The huge house was just me, quiet and peaceful. Coincidentally, my period visited, and my lower abdomen ached badly. I rummaged through the cabinets looking for some brown sugar but couldn't find any. I casually sent a message asking Michael to bring some back after work, saving me the trouble of going out. Nestled in bed, dozing off, Michael sent a message. "I'm working overtime today. I'll have my brother bring it to you. Add some ginger slices and boil it yourself." Before I could reply to the message, John was already at my bedroom door, holding a large cup of steaming hot ginger brown sugar water. Only, his expression wasn't very pleasant, probably annoyed at the trouble. Well, I was closer to Michael. And of course, the experience Michael gained from me made him very successful in love. Quite popular with women. "Thank you," I said, taking the cup and sipping slowly. The hot and spicy ginger brown sugar water warmed my lower abdomen considerably. I figured John definitely wouldn't stay in my room. But unexpectedly, he pulled over a chair and sat down, staring straight at me. After I drank most of the cup, he slowly began to speak. "Next time, just tell me directly about this kind of thing." I was a bit puzzled. "I'm not incapable of taking care of myself. I only ask for Michael's help occasionally when I run into shortages. This kind of thing shouldn't trouble him every time." "Oh, no need to trouble. I'm quite considerate. John is so busy. It's not worth bothering him with such trivial matters." But my understanding and thoughtfulness didn't bring a smile to John's face. Instead, it made him frown slightly. "I am your boyfriend." "Then what?" I didn't understand John's meaning at first. "I'm jealous. Didn't you notice?" Jealous. I really didn't expect that. Jealous of Michael. That made it even more unbelievable to me. John didn't dwell on it too much. He stood up and walked to the window, looking at his own room across the way. "Is this how you usually spy on me?" Luckily, I had put the half-drunk brown sugar water on the nightstand. Otherwise, John's words would have startled me so much that I might have dropped the cup. I didn't respond for a while. John turned around again, and my dumbfounded expression seemed to please him, making the corners of his mouth lift as if he had succeeded in a prank. "John, you weren't like this before. Lately." John often astonishes me. Wasn't he cold and aloof? Wasn't he an old-fashioned scholar? A stick in the mud? Improvementier not calling me brother anymore. John nodded in satisfaction. Then added, only like this in front of you. I rolled my eyes. Stop. I'm a bit scared. I can't adapt to this all at once. Can't adapt. Seems like it. Well, practice more in the future. John stunned me again with his words, reminding me of that absurd night. I grabbed a pillow and threw it hard at him. John caught it effortlessly. Emily, domestic violence isn't right. Looking at John's smiling eyes, I gritted my teeth. Get lost. The tour group I was leading happened to check into the hotel at the same time as Wang Huan's group, which excited both of us after not seeing each other for so long. After all the guests had settled in, Wang Huan came to my room and caught up with me for quite a while. On my way over, I think I saw your neighbor John. Does he work here? Before leaving, Wang Huan said while opening the door, seemingly very interested in John. Yes. He manages this hotel. You said before that you'd help set us up. But I haven't seen any action. Wang Huan's eyes lit up. I saw him again. I'm taking the initiative now. Before I could stop her, Wang Huan bumped into John, who was walking towards her. Seeing John's glance in my direction, I guiltily ducked back into the room and slammed the door shut. Your neighbor John is handsome. No doubt. But he's too cold. Like an iceberg. I can't handle him. I'm out. Not long after, a message from Wang Huan came through. I was pondering how to reply when a knock came at the door. Ansel and John stood at the door. I hesitated for a moment before finally opening it. John's lips were tightly pursed, as if he was struggling hard to contain his anger, and I could see the veins bulging on his temples clearly. He was genuinely furious. This was the first time I had ever seen him like this, and it terrified me into complete silence. Emily, what do you take me for? John asked coldly, the fire in his eyes seeming ready to burst out. My lips trembled. I truly didn't know how to explain. You stood by while your friend hit on me, or are you saying you encouraged her? How generous of you. John reached out and pinched my chin, forcing me to meet his gaze, staring at that handsome yet furious face. So familiar yet strange. I recalled how John had always been cold but gentle in my memory, never losing his temper, but now. I turned my head away uncomfortably, and John tightened his grip on my chin. The pain made my eyes mist over, and anger flared inside me. I slapped John's hand away. I didn't have time to stop her. She rushed over herself. What does that have to do with me? Besides, do you even really like me? It's all because I slept with you once. If you're upset, just sleep with me too. And we'll be even. Emily, what did you say? John's handsome brows furrowed so deeply they could crush a mosquito, and his voice began to tremble. I said, I never see how much you like me anyway. Before I could finish, John lunged forward and kissed me fiercely, his lips crashing against my teeth until I tasted a faint metallic blood. But John ignored it, roughly exploring my mouth. And the sudden assault left me dizzy. When I came to my senses, I fought desperately to push him away, but I was no match for his strength. In my daze, I felt John ease his force and start kissing me with tender gentleness until my body began to sag. Only then did he release me, pressing his forehead to mine as he rasped, "Do you have a heart?" Saying things like that, I gasped for breath, tears streaming uncontrollably, filled with grievance, fear, and sorrow. I liked John, but without that night's mistake, I knew he wouldn't have ended up in this relationship with me. He was forced into it. I was wrong, John said, wiping away my tears. I didn't tell you sooner. I like you. I've liked you for years. The busiest tourist season was finally over, and I could rest properly for a few days, after being out constantly for work. All I wanted now was to lounge at home without going anywhere. The four adults from the Wilson and Brown families made a perfect group for a card game. Great for passing the time. I napped to the soothing clatter of the cards, which was surprisingly hypnotic. When I woke up and opened my eyes, I was startled by the figure sitting in front of the window and screamed. Upon recognizing John's smiling face, I patted my chest and said, "What are you doing?" "Bringing you afternoon tea." John pointed to the pastries on the desk. "Chef Kai's new creation. You'll definitely like it. I love the desserts made by Chef Kai at the hotel. Every time I eat them, I can't stop praising them." I didn't expect John to remember. "Want to go see a movie?" I looked at John. "Aren't you busy?" "No matter how busy I am, I have to spend time with my girlfriend." "You finally have a day off. Don't waste it." John smiled and ruffled my messy hair. "Actually, thinking about it, John and I rarely have free time at the same time. Most of our meetings are still at the hotel, and opportunities to go out on proper dates are few and far between." After the movie, we walked home together. Just as we reached the gate of the yard, Michael came from afar. "Where have you been? I wanted to call you out to play. You finally have a day off." I quickly pulled my hand out of John's grasp, trying to act nonchalant. Unexpectedly, John didn't play by the rules today. He immediately grabbed my hand firmly again. "Am I not presentable?" I panicked, not knowing what to do. If Michael found out, basically both families would know. "You two went out together." In an instant, Michael was right in front of us. He looked at me suspiciously, and when he saw our clasped hands, his pupils instantly dilated. You. Remember to change how you address me from now on," John said calmly. Michael's mouth dropped open in shock, and I was stunned in place, glaring at John in dissatisfaction. He did it on purpose. Definitely. Sure enough, Michael rushed into my room. "Emily, I thought of you as a sister, but you want to be my sister-in-law. You hid it from me. You didn't give me any hint. I tell you all my secrets. You're so disloyal. Confess everything truthfully, and I'll forgive you." After this outburst, upon seeing John's gaze from the opposite window, Michael backed down and ran downstairs, thudding. With Michael's big mouth, John and I were now surrounded by adults who had stopped playing mahjong. I'm so stupid. There were signs all along. "Emily, wasn't I right before? When you saw my brother like that, your face turned red." I knew it. Michael, loving to stir up trouble, added fuel to the fire. My head was almost buried in my chest. I really couldn't withstand so many piercing gazes. "Emily, you like John, right? If he forced you, tell Auntie." Aunt Jo spoke up. "Forced? It seems like it. But it was I who forced John." "Mom, what are you saying?" Fortunately, John promptly took over. I stepped in to mediate. "Uncle Shin, Auntie, I like Emily. I've always liked her. I'll treat her well. Please rest assured. No wonder you've never been in a relationship. You were waiting right here all along." Aunt Jo teased with a laugh. "Emily, what do you think? John is a good kid we've watched grow up. But weren't you very close with Michael?" Mom was probably confused by the sudden situation and hadn't fully reacted yet. Auntie, Emily and I are good friends. But she's not into me," Michael quickly clarified. I thought he must be afraid that John would cause him trouble. After the Wilson family and the Brown family discussed it, my relationship with John was settled. After all, the two families had an engagement agreement from the start, and all the details were finalized extremely quickly. 14. I had no say in any of the wedding arrangements. Everything was handled by the adults of both families and John, and I was purely a participant. After the grand wedding ended, I sat in John's room, looking at my own room across the way, and couldn't help but laugh. "What are you laughing at?" finally don't have to spy on me. Come on. Admire me openly. John sat in front of me with a towel draped around his waist. I pouted and unceremoniously pulled off the towel. Confess honestly. When did you start having feelings for me? John smiled without answering. Just turned his head to kiss me. I quickly pushed him away with my hand. Let me guess. When I was in high school and you came to tutor me, you were already plotting something improper. Weren't you? A bit earlier. John said with a smile, pulling down my hand and kissing me gently. John, you did that on purpose. I leaned against John's chest, feeling like I'd fallen apart, panting as I accused him. On purpose what? You did it on purpose. That time. You could have stopped me. The more I thought about it, the more I felt something was off. With John's performance just now, how could I possibly be a match for him? But back then, he just let me do whatever I wanted, without any resistance, and even helped me from time to time. Sure enough, John laughed, his chest shaking. I've been plotting for a long time. How could I bear to stop you? Thinking more carefully, it was also intentional for Michael to discover our relationship. I stared at him in disbelief. How could you do that? And I actually felt guilty towards him. Do what? Was it uncomfortable just now? Was it much better than last time? John nibbled on my earlobe, his tongue swirling around, making me shiver all over. Your movements aren't very standard. Let me teach you again. John covered me once more, silencing all my complaints and accusations.